Academy. It's Dr. Erin. It's great to be with you again. We are on video number 5, and we just wrapped up our first large module, which was all about high performance productivity. And really, the main takeaway there is that productivity is not a function so much of time management as it is dream management. So remember, productivity is really a measure of how well you're leading your dream. So I am very, very excited to dive into this next module, which will be 4 video trainings all about how do high performers think? What is their psychology? So as a psychologist, you can imagine I am really excited to teach you the latest and greatest research about how successful people think, because they think in a certain way and they train and condition their brains in a certain way. So we are going to be talking about that today. Let's dive right in. And you might have heard about a growth mindset. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We want to develop a growth mindset. And at its core, a growth mindset means that one's belief is that we're not necessarily born with all of our talents, abilities. Nothing's really set in stone. And that's good news. And so people who believe in a growth mindset believe that those skill sets can be learned. And psychologists and scientists know that we can train our brain to create all new pathways. It's called neuroplasticity. And so we want to really utilize this brain of ours and train our brain to be what I like to call our best business partner. So let's get going. Okay, I love this meme, as a psychologist, you need to believe in yourself. And we know that, but let's really dive in this training and talk about, mindset is just a fancy word for our beliefs. And our beliefs lead to the behaviors we do, right? It makes sense. And our beliefs lead to the attitudes that we adopt. And so we know that is really important when you're building a business. So let's take a look at what some people think success looks like and what we know it really looks like. So you can imagine the importance of minding your mind. And when you get in the hairy, parts of your business and you want to quit, or you are struggling, or you're up leveling, as you will do so many times throughout the rest of your business and the rest of your life, you're always going to be growing on what I call growing beyond your personal edge. So your personal edge is that line where you're comfortable, but you need to grow to the next level to have the next level of success, right? We cannot stay in maintenance. Maintenance is actually not maintenance. Maintenance is going backwards. So we need a mindset that's going to take us through these twists and turns. So I like to say, your brain can be a friendly neighborhood or a dangerous neighborhood. And we want to train it to be a really friendly neighborhood for you and your business. And like I said, it can be your best business partner. And there's this saying, businesses are won or lost in the 6 inches between your ears, which is your brain. Okay. So, you are the one who's talking to yourself the most. So we've got to really make sure that your thoughts are serving you. And we need to make sure that you have the technology to know what to do when they aren't, okay? So let's read this. I just realized I've survived everything I've ever encountered in life. I have 100% survival rate. I'm nailing it. Okay, what I want to say about this idea is one of the most important things to protect as you are a business owner and entrepreneur is your confidence. Lack of confidence can take you out of the game. Lack of confidence can stop you from even getting in the game, right? And so what is this thing called confidence, and how does one acquire it? I want to say a couple things about confidence. In adulthood, my mentor, and I've adopted his definition, Brendon Burchard's definition of confidence in adulthood, which is a little different than confidence in childhood, which is a whole different developmental thing. okay? Developmental time in your life, it's different. But in adulthood, confidence, get this, is simply the ability to figure things out. I want you to write that down. Confidence is the ability to figure things out. And I want you to really spend some time after this video, and I challenge you to just start journaling all the things that you've survived, all of the things that you've made it through, all of the experiences in your life where you've struggled and got through, all of the experiences in your life where you nailed it and got through, right? Where you had successes. Like, I want you to really take an inventory so you can, what I call, fortify this idea that you have confidence. It's available to you. You just need to orient to it in this different way and realize the definition of it is the ability to figure things out. And so I want you to, if you need to start with some affirmations for yourself of, I am learning to be confident, which I am learning I am a person who can figure things out. Or I enjoy being a person who can figure things out. I have a great track record of figuring things out, and I will continue with that track record, right? Like, that's it. So isn't that great news? You all can go forth and know that you're confident. Now that may that doesn't mean you're not going to have fear. You're human. It just means I have, realizing I have a track record of stepping beyond my comfort zone, and I can continue that. I would place a bet that your business is not going to be the first place where you've been brave, where you've been courageous, where you've been, willing to step outside your comfort zone. You've done that many times in your life before. This is just maybe a new arena for you to practice that skill set in a new way. So again, confidence is the ability to figure things out. So let's look at growth. So there's this idea that growth can be painful, right? And change can be painful. But let's also look at the pain of staying stuck where you don't belong, or where you're not happy, joyous, and free, where you are not living your best life. And I believe that it is our job to make sure that we live this one life that we have in a way that's with intention and our best life, and that we're not here to just get by. And so if there is something in your life that is not causing you a lot of joy, and maybe that's a job you're currently in, I am certainly not saying leave your job and just wing it. I am saying find a way to get out of that job so that you can do what you are in love with, what you're called to do on this planet, what brings you joy, what gives you the feelings and experiences that you want to sign up for. Okay? So high performance is not about getting by. It's about living with vitality and confidence and joy and happiness. So our job is to mind the gap. And the gap is that area that separates where we currently are to where we want to be. And here's the thing, when we have a growth mindset, there's always going to be a gap. And so I want you to kind of have a new relationship with that gap. That new relationship with that gap is one of curiosity, of adventure, of wondering. I wonder how I can close that gap. I wonder how I can cross that gap, because then there's going to be the next gap. Right? So maybe in your business, you want to increase visibility, say on social media, there's a gap. Okay, well, how do I go about that? What's the strategy to close that gap? Oh, I could consistently post every day in a really effective way, probably going live. Okay, that's going to close the gap, and that's going to increase your visibility on social media. So your job is to mind the gap and close the gap. So let's talk about what growth mindset is. Growth mindset, let's review that, came out of some studies by Carol Dweck, who's a psychologist, Dr. Carol Dweck from Stanford University. This was years and years ago. And she studied students. And she noticed that when students got poor grades on a math test, some students were devastated and other students were of the thinking that they could improve and they could do better. So she coined the terms fixed mindset for the group that was devastated and growth mindset for the group of students that thought, you know, I need to study more. I need to pull my resources together, maybe get a tutor, and I can do better. And so growth mindset, again, is this understanding that we are not born with a fixed level of talent, abilities, skills. No, we can develop those. We can develop a mindset through our effort, through mentoring, through great strategies, through masterminding with others like we're doing here in this academy. So we definitely want to adopt a growth mindset. So really do an assessment for yourself. This is a great little kind of cheat sheet, but look at the kind of mindset that you may have. Okay, so the fixed mindset, I'm either good at it or I'm not. If I fail, I'm no good. I don't like to be challenged. I feel like feedback is personal. Ooh, that's a doozy, right? If you succeed, then I feel threatened. I'm going to give up if I find something difficult, and my abilities determine everything. Okay, we want to adopt a growth mindset instead. That is this understanding, again, that's confidence. I have the capabilities of learning. I am a person who can learn. You know, one of the one question I was able to ask my mentor, Brendan Burchard, when I was at a networking function, I went up to him and introduced myself and thanked him for all the great work he does in the world. And I said, may I ask you a question, Brendan? And he said, of course. And I said, you know, you've shared with us so many challenges that you've overcome in your life. And I'm wondering if you can share some times where you failed and kind of what you learned from those failures. And he said, Dr. Erin, we don't have enough time for all of my failures, but I will tell you one thing. When your love for learning is greater than your fear of failing, the world is abundantly open to you. The possibilities are endless. So again, he said, when your love of learning is greater than your fear of failing. And so there's a definition of failure that says there is no failure if there is learning. So a growth mindset looks at things and says, let me take in some data here. This is interesting. This didn't go like I thought. I thought this strategy would really work. I wonder what I could tweak about it. I wonder what I could change about it. It's information. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to say, see, I was never meant to be in business. I'm not going to say, you know, see, it's too hard. It will never work. No, I'm going to say, this is interesting data. It's my favorite thing to say, and I want you to start adopting this. All data is data. All data is good data because it's data if we choose to look at it like that. So if we choose to look at something's working in our business and something's not, there's so much to be learned from that. And, you know, a fixed mindset is going to say, see, it's no use. This is too hard. I'm going to quit. So we've got to really adopt this idea that there's always opportunities to be learning and growing, even from the hard stuff. Even from the hard stuff, okay? So growth mindset, I learn from my failures. I challenge myself. I am inspired by the success of others. If you find yourself becoming jealous or comparing to others who have the success you want, which is really, I think, a normal human feeling. That's normal, just observe it. Wow, I'm jealous of her or his success. The next step I want you to say is, my jealousy means they have something I want. What can I learn from what they're doing and do it in my own life and my own business? So use jealousy to be like that platform, that launching pad of going into the next thought, which is a curious thought, a learning kind of thought of, what is it I can learn from the strategies they're doing? How can I do that myself? Okay. People with a growth mindset persevere, even when they're frustrated. And their effort and their attitude determine everything. So I think, again, that's great news because there's so much that we are in control of. We are in control of training our brain and conditioning our brain for success. We are not limited by the knowledge we have so far. We're not limited by genetics. We're not limited by the family we grew up in. We're not limited by the, socioeconomic status, SES. We're not limited by any of that. We are open to receive all that our efforts and attitude can provide for us. So I want to talk to you about something to be on the lookout as you are growing, up-leveling, becoming a better version of yourself, having success. There is something that I want you to really be aware of so that you can predict and be prepared for when it happens to you, because it will happen to you, and I don't want it to sideswipe you, and I don't want it to kick you out of the game. And it's what I call the success tax. And this is the price that we have to pay when we become successful or change in a positive way, where some of the people in our life either don't like how we're changing, or they don't approve of how we're doing things in maybe a new way, or where our success kind of triggers in them their own fear. So success, if people aren't doing the mindset work and the personal development work that they need to do, other people's success can easily trigger their own fear. And so that looks like statements like this. Erin, why can't you just be happy with what you have? Why are you always working? You must be so busy. What? Oh my gosh, are you sure your kids are seeing you enough? Like, there's a success tax. Who does she think she is? All of those kind of judgments can be placed on you. And I want you to be willing to pay that success tax. I want you to be willing to look at that as evidence that you are in the right game, the right place, that you're doing things correctly. I had a client months ago, and she got her first hater on social media. And I'm laughing because she said, Dr. Erin, look at what they're saying about my program. And I said, congratulations. And she was like, what? Congratulations. Like, this person just dissed my thing, and I'm losing some friends because I'm just really changing. And I said, congratulations. That means you're up to something. People don't have opinions about people who aren't up to anything, right? So be willing to pay the success tax, because ultimately, they're not going to live with the regrets that you're going to have to live with if you don't grow and aspire and become the person that you're meant to be. One of the things that's going to really help you with your growth mindset when you have difficult days is remembering why you started, okay? And I want you to visit that often, okay? I want you to train your brain to visit your commitments often, because when you are 100% committed, there is by definition, by default, going to come obstacles, detours, setbacks, roadblocks, success taxes. Those are inevitable. So I have this picture of my sweet Gracie, and it wasn't too long ago that I created a vision board before I started this business, and I was just tired of saying no to things that I really wanted in my life. And one of those was going to the grocery store, and the kids would say, can we get berries? And berries are expensive, and berries add up when you have 5 people in your family. And I put this image of berries on my vision board, and I said, I'm going to work so hard on my business so that someday we can go to the grocery store, and when they say, can I get the berries? I want to say, get as many as you want. And I said, stop, Grace. I remember this day. And I had in my mind's eye this vision of this moment. And I'm sitting there crying in the produce section, like, not a good look, right? But you got to find something that you're willing to grow for, that you're willing to strive for. And it's usually a feeling. Your why is actually usually a feeling, right? It's not a number in the bank account. It's what will happen when the bank account becomes that. What will happen is I'll have the freedom to buy the kind of foods that I want my children to eat, and I won't have the burden of budgeting that and saying no, right? So visit your why, okay? We've talked about the success tax, but maybe you've seen this image before, the iceberg illusion. And, success can sometimes look really shiny and glamorous and easy and quick. We live in a world that says, 3 success tips to make your first 100K in the next 30 days. Like, that's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of illusion. And what I want us to realize and step into and be willing to meet the reality is that success is a lot of work, and it's work done over a period of time. And so it's one thing to decide to be successful. The next step, though, is to make behavioral changes. And then the next step is to consistently make behavioral changes. So choices and decisions can lie, but consistency and patterns never lie. I'll say that again. Decisions can lie. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to be consistent on social media. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Okay, that's a decision. Consistency in your patterns of behavior will never lie. So adopt the mindset of, I am continuously growing, learning, failing forward, learning from my struggles, making my struggles work for me so that I can improve the next time, strengthening my muscles of dedication, good habits, and knowing that the science of all of that is going to apply to me. Like telling yourself, principles have promises behind them, and they will work for me if I work them. So this was my glamorous moment. A couple weeks ago, I had the honor of winning Professional Saleswoman of the Year for the state of Nevada. And literally, I felt like I had won an Academy Award. I mean, this is as close as I can ever imagine. There was confetti. You can see the confetti on the floor. It was a whiteout of confetti. It was awesome. And what I want you to know when you look at accomplishments like that, when you see other people that you look up to have accomplishments like that, I want you to know and think about, wow, I wonder what it is that she did or he did day in and day out. What strategies did she use? How did she connect with people? How did she mind her mind? What kind of daily habits did she have that would lead to this mountaintop experience of Saleswoman of the Year? That's what I want you going and digging for the gold. I want you, if you meet people that have success that you want, ask them, what does it take? What's the daily dues? What does it take? Because you know what? All the millionaires in the world will say there is no secret box to open up that says, this is the secret of how to become a millionaire. The secret is the small behaviors done over time, over a long enough period of time with the right strategies. So it's not just doing, right? It's doing with the right strategies that add up to the mountaintop experiences. And I just challenge you to do that. Okay, here's another slide of me in my bikini because I always have to find a reason, right? But this was when I transformed my health over a year, actually 10 and a half months, and eventually competed in a bodybuilding competition and got a trophy. And what I want to show you is this is really where I grew my growth mindset. I grew it at the gym, really kind of before I ever grew it in my business, but I grew it during this year. In my life. And I could not muster up the belief that I was eventually going to change my body enough to get on stage and not completely embarrass myself. I mean, I remember thinking, I just don't want to embarrass myself. I had never seen my body look like that. I had never experienced that. I had to do the do with the understanding and the faith that my trainer knew what she was doing. Okay. So I remember one day I was like, I don't think I'm going to be ready. And I'm crying in the weight room and I'm lifting weights and I'm crying and I'm like, I'm not going to be ready and I'm going to be embarrassed up there and it's not worth it. And, you know, having my freak out. And my trainer said, and I'll never forget it. She said, do you believe that I know what I'm doing and that can train you to that end result? And I'm like, yes, I believe it. I believe it. And she said, okay, so can you just work out right now, this hour, and do what I'm telling you to do? Yes, I can. Can you come back and do it tomorrow? Yes, I can. Can you eat what I'm telling you to do? Yes, I can. And she said, then I want you to borrow my belief until you get your own. And that is so what we need to do when we are building something in our businesses that we've never built before, and we are reaching for levels that we've never achieved. Just borrow someone's belief until you get your own. If you need that to be my belief in you, borrow mine until you can return it, because you're going to need your own. And you know, all the brain needs to know is that it's possible. So I didn't know that it was probable, but I knew it was possible. We're going to be talking about that in the next module, the difference between possibility thinking and probability thinking. And the brain is so good at saying, it's not probable. You've never been in that kind of shape before. You've never grown your business to 1 million. Like, who do you think you are? I just need possible, because I have a growth mindset that says, I am capable of figuring things out. I am capable of finding mentors and coaches that can train me to that next level. And you all have that. You're in this program. Here's what's really great, and what's also really important when you're building your business, is to realize you're looking for progress, not perfection. I remember the first time I did a Facebook Live, I got red hives all at my neck because I was so nervous. And I literally, every time someone would type in, I would move in. I'd be like, oh, hi, like they were in the screen. It was so embarrassing. But then I started getting some like love buttons and some likes. And I'm like, well, this is fun. It was fun. Fall in love with being bad so that you can become good. And then fall in love with being good so that you can become great. Okay, fall in love with being the person who's going for it. I mean, doesn't that just make your heart sing? Fall in love with being the person who's going for it. One thing I want to talk about here when we're talking about mindset is we do not want to think like an employee when we are becoming entrepreneurs and business owners. Okay, it's almost like the deal breaker. It's like, it's almost as toxic as having a fixed mindset versus having a growth mindset. So we really need to think like entrepreneurs. So everyone can tell you the risk, and entrepreneur sees the rewards. So entrepreneurs have a very different mindset, and let's look at that briefly. So entrepreneurship, you might have heard this, is this living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we have to be people that are not dependent on immediate gratification. We have to be people that have a long-term vision of our success. And yes, we need those small wins. So we've got to go looking for the small wins every day at night. I do my best to write down my wins for the day, because if you don't go looking for them, people, you're not going to find them. The brain goes and finds what it goes looking for. And so entrepreneurship is a hard gig if you are not finding those small wins. Those small wins can be, I connected with one new person. I reached out and created a coffee date with one new person. I added value to somebody. I wrote a module. I mean, you've got to figure out these small wins that are moving you towards your bigger projects. So employee mindset, is of no use to us when we're growing our businesses, okay? Work, something to stay away from. Serious effort, something to do only a little bit. You know, support is something I deserve, and income, something I receive immediately. You can see how that's going to take you out of the game. So an entrepreneur mindset is, I'm excited about my work. I'm committed to serious effort over time. I create my own support system. I reach out and find my own tribe, my mentors, people that have what I want. And I am willing to delay some income, knowing that I'm growing this over time. Now, I want to help you find income now because I think we all deserve that. And that is a measure of success. From my viewpoint as a business coach, my success comes when my clients earn money. But I want you to understand that you're going to need to invest and spend money on your business to grow it. It's not the same measuring stick as when you're in a job. It's not the same measuring stick. So be prepared for that. You know, my first year of business, I spent a lot of money and I made a great amount of money, but I spent a lot of money. So the net worth wasn't super exciting, but I knew, oh, that is success. One, I didn't go in the hole. I didn't go into debt. And I know I'm building an infrastructure that's going to sustain me in the next couple of years and grow so that my income can go shoop, right? You could just fly high. Okay. So your mindset needs to be, I'm going to stay committed to what I say I want long after the mood in which I said it in has left me. Okay? That is commitment, my friends. And remember, commitment comes from visiting your why, from visiting your vision regularly. I think you've realized this, but I want you to fall in love with failing forward. So really, by definition, there's no failure if you're learning, right? So you might even want to think about it as fumbling forward. You know, what can I learn from my first kind of bad talk that I did? Oh, I learned I didn't have any branding materials. I didn't have any way for them to reach out to me. I totally missed the sale at the end because I was so anxious. Oh, well, I can learn from that, and I can do that in my next talk. Okay, so there's learning to be had. So Thomas Edison, I love that quote from him. You know, he just found 10,000 ways that the light bulb didn't work to find the way that it did, right? You know, every professional starts as an amateur. I want you to allow yourself to be a beginner. Right now in my business, I'm a beginner in some areas. I will always be a beginner in some areas because there's always the next level, which means I've never done that before. So I assemble people that can help me. I ask lots of questions. I allow myself to be a beginner. And this is what I want to say. Like, let's just be obsessed about having a growth mindset. You have to want it like it's life or death. You have to be so tenacious and so fierce and so committed that nothing will take you out of the game. One of my greatest, most favorite mentors in the business coaching field is Marie Forleo. She has the biggest online launch of anyone. She's been around for 18 years. And her mother always said, everything is figure-outable. And I just love that. And look at, that's our definition of confidence. No matter what, we can figure it out. So realize that nothing special is going to happen in your comfort zone. Outside of your comfort is your zone. Outside of your comfort is your zone. That's where the magic happens. And I want to conclude with, these are the things I really want you to grow. When you have a growth mindset, I want you to grow you. So we're looking at, I want you to grow your mindset, your knowledge, your health, your confidence in yourself. You want to grow you. Your business will never outgrow you. And so you've got to be obsessed with personal development, with minding your mind. I want you to grow others. When you grow others, your business will grow. So I want you to think, if I want to reach the next level, I need my next level of service. If I want to reach my next level of success, how can I serve more? How can I listen better? How can I add value more than anyone? How can I not just compete in my area of expertise? How can I completely dominate? The way you're going to dominate is by serving. Dominate how you serve, and you will dominate. I want you to grow your influence. Remember from John Maxwell, influence only comes through connection. So it's very similar to growing others, but you cannot have influence and you cannot therefore be a leader if you do not first have connection. So I want you to connect with people, get to know them, what's on their heart, what do they want? Ask questions more than you talk. Listen way more than you talk. Okay. And then the last thing I want you to do is grow your tribe. And you're doing that in this academy. You're growing your sphere of what I call growth friends. Growth friends are people who are there in the trenches with you. They get it. They get when you have your bad days. They don't let you off the hook. They're always striving themselves, and they are committed to going the distance with you. They're committed to themselves. So find those growth friends. And if you don't have them, find a mastermind like this one. You know, it's okay to pay for some growth friends if you don't have them in your life. You eventually will. You know, that's the reason I go to all these conferences. I meet my growth friends. There are people that I've met at Brendon Burchard's conference that I text every single day now. He spoke on my stage, and I'm going to speak on his stage in January. You know, find your tribe of people who want to raise the bar. So thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you found massive value, and go grow your mindset and watch how that grows your income, your influence, and your impact. See you next time.